Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure and you're watching Transport Fever, and we're sat outside the hub because it's the finest place to watch trains that I have at the present time. Actually, there's loads of places that are good to watch trains. Anyway, that's the... where's that coming in from? Detroit, I think, given that it's carrying stone or construction material or some such. Stone from Detroit. There you go. Thank you very much. Anyway, things are looking jolly positive at the moment. Money-wise, we're doing very, very nicely indeed. Let's have a look around and see who else is in town. What's that over there? That's the bulk from Detroit unloading. That's nice. What do we got over there? That's Vancouver. Running a little light there, but it is a profitable train. Not least of all, I mean, look at this. Just this train, and remember, I'm running two of them. Made 2.8 million last year, so that's jolly good. Over here we've got the El Paso bulk freight, which should pack out nicely. We might hang around long enough to see how much it packs out. Given that El Paso is given high priority when it comes to goods. Now then, last time we added a brand new route. Well, look, there's another train, look, and it might even be this one. Yes, it is, Grand Junction, goods bulk. Let's see how that does, because that's going to indicate whether this is a profitable line or not. Remember, we're only running one train on that particular line. And now, you know what, that looks pretty sturdy. El Paso looks a little thin at the moment, and I think part of the problem is that I actually need to up the frequency on my bulk freight deliverers. Let's have a quick look and see how we're doing on the old profit system. Late February, there we go, we just slipped into March. Which wiped it out. But we were at 7 million there, which is pretty respectable. Managed 23 last year, having spent another 17 on trains. So that's a very respectable 40 million in profit last time around. And you're not going to make much off that load there, sunshine. Not with the amount you're pulling in. And you see here, here comes the food train in now, with an awful lot of space. So I think I need to up the effectiveness of my bulk carriers in order to make that work. Here's the fuel bulk, carrying 420. That's good. I'm not going to sweat it too much because we're making plenty of cash. Here's the overall route system, and you'll see that the lowest performing train actually was that El Paso, and that's only burned 500,000. So, you know, that's pretty good, because when you look at the other end, look at all these lot that are 1 million plus. So if you think of these as making 500,000 profit and then carrying one that is losing money in that regard, there is absolutely nothing to worry about on the money side of things, providing I keep myself under control. Now, I don't have the pork payback mod installed at the moment. I don't think. I'm pretty sure I don't have it, but I'll get it installed pretty soonish, so I can start paying back my initial investment. But in the last episode we talked about adding another goods type to the situation, and we're not going to do that today, because today we're going to do something more exciting than that. Well, okay, your mileage may vary. Right, we're now outside Brussels because it's time for today's napkin revision. In fact, I'm not entirely sure that is... Oh no, hold on, wait. This is Krakow, not Brussels. Beg your pardon, it heads to Brussels. Where are we? Krakow. So it's a suggestion for the remodelling of the current approach to Krakow, which is going to be this side here, I would imagine. Although the diagram does not have too much bearing on the reality of the situation, but I think the meaning is pretty clear. There we are. So Brussels, Krakow, trains, stations, you get the kind of feel for that one. That one was sent in by Quacking Bear. Rather marvellous. I've got several more queued up, so if you've submitted one, don't worry, it will turn up at some point. If you want to submit your track plan on a napkin, you know what to do. If you don't know what to do, ask what to do in the comments and someone will tell you. Right, okay, so today, what are we going to do? We're coming to the end of the primary age of Steam. Now, Steam's going to still kick around for a while. After all, I mean, the big boy only kicks in about another 20 years or so. So we'll obviously run the big boy because you have to, or there will be a riot, and everyone will complain. As well they should, because it's a fine beast to look at. you shouldn't be queuing. You should get right of way here, because I want lead off on my passenger trains rather than my goods services. Now, I've talked about redeveloping this bridge, and I will do in the future when we start to think about other goods types, which we're not going to do today because that's a major investment in infrastructure that I don't want to spend right now, because what I do want to do is continue pursuing the original scheme, which was to get a heck of a lot of steam trains running. And if I'm going to achieve that while we're at the tail end of the age of steam, well, frankly, that time is now. So we're going to look at all of the profitable services that we've got that are currently running steam, and we're going to add more steam to those lines. So we're going to add more trains, which should lead to which should lead to quite a massive logjam, if I'm honest. The other thing that I'm going to point out before we go off and do that, so this is a Train Spotters episode, this one, is that it's not going to be long before we get a head-to-head problem going on in here. Now, that's purely because I've set every one of those lines to be to run two-way. There is no notion until you get to the junction here and the junction there of an inbound and an outbound. Don't worry about it. Just relax. We'll fix it when it happens. I don't believe in fixing things until they become a problem, at which point the little alert symbol here, there are no warnings, will warn us, and then we'll fix it accordingly. Because I like the head stomper of it, although one should not really stomp oneself in the head. That doesn't sound like it's going to be conducive to having a fine day. Right, now let's crack on. So we're going to head out to the main depot, obviously. We've got some slow motion train stuff going on already. There's a train. Look, yeah, it's one of those. I think that's the Pacific, the Atlantic. It's a train. It's either the Pacific or the Atlantic. I'm thrown because it says Pennsylvania on the side of it, which is on the East Coast. So I would have thought it was the Atlantic, but I believe it's the Pacific. You'll all correct me in the comments. I know that for a fact. In fact, I could look it up and find out. But I know you take such pleasure in correcting me in the comments. I'm not going to deny you that. There we go. So this is a fine place to hang out, but we've yet to achieve the real goal here of having this station just absolutely jam-packed with trains. And that's part of the motivation for today's revision. So you're going to get a reasonable amount of speed coming out, and then it slows down in order to do the slow motion section. Oh, I don't mind that. That's fine and dandy. Now, we're not going to mix up the services on each line. Rather, we're going to endeavour to maintain whatever it is we're running now, and that's going to be a test of my general knowledge of how these trains actually work. So anything that comes out of Sioux Falls, we'll start with. Sioux Falls to Brussels. Right you are. We'll run one of those. I don't care whether it's running full or not. Now, what's that? That is the K4S Pacific, which is pulling two heavyweight 281 parlours, or 28 to 1 parlours, or 281 parlours. Parlours is what it's running. Heavyweights, all of those things is what it's running. Steam, right? K4S Pacific. Which will be down here. I'll see it in a second, and then I'll go, oh, it's one of those, obviously. And then we'll answer the question that I posed myself a moment ago. Surely we'll have passed it by now, because it came in at the same time as the Atlantic. K4S Pacific. Look at these. I need to find an excuse to run those, I think. Did I go past? There it is, look. Right, 5 million. Well, you're not going to get many of those to the pound. And then a heavyweight 28 / something. The Streamliner's out already. Crumbs. Because that's a good wagon, that is. And we're still running miles per hour. I'll definitely change that up before the next episode. Where are we? Clerestory. Where's the heavy? I've gone past it. Come on. Don't just scroll. Pay attention while you're doing it. That's the Varnish Pullman. And the heavyweight 21 and so forth. 28. Right, 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are going Sioux Falls, Brussels, my friend. Have a jolly good time. See if you can't clog up the traffic a bit. Now then, if this says Pennsylvania down the side of it, then we'll know that for some reason the Pacific has a connection with Pennsylvania, which and there it is. See, my instinct was right. I thought it was the Pacific, but then Pennsylvania threw me off. Someone explain the history to me on that one, please. I'm genuinely interested, so do let me know. Right, next line. Right, so that's Sioux Falls. The Sioux Falls main line. We're currently running 4 on there, and it's not running very full. But that is quite a long line, and therefore sticking another train on it might be a giggle. It's already running 4. Let's leave that one alone for the moment. Give me another Sioux Falls job, will you? Sioux Falls, that is a passenger. That's the commuter, which is running full. Okay, well, we'll stick another commuter on then. Right, what have we got on there at the moment? This is a 4-4. Really? Is it? I thought they upgraded this. And they're all 20 years old. So this is really quite slow, but it's running completely at capacity. Well, fair enough. I'm not gonna argue. Let's get one on board. Right, 4-4. That seems like a particularly archaic train that we're running on there. Now, what I'm eventually going to run is I'll run something like the M300, or maybe this Baureha Et 89 Drug. I might run one of those, but I won't, obviously, because it's not American. And given that it is American line that we're working on here, I do have to occasionally stick to my own rules. This thing is flaming ancient. Started in 1850. This is one of the original trains that you could have. So be it. That's what we're running on there at the moment. Crackerbox car. Okay, fair enough. Which is the earliest passenger wagon. Just magic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be cheap as chips, that one. So that's going on the Sioux Falls commuter. Sioux Falls commuter. Off you go. There we go. You don't see a freshly minted one of these very often. 60 passenger capacity, and we've just set another one in motion as well. And it will be deprecated as soon as we've got a diesel that suits the purpose. We'll fling that out instead. Whatever this is very noisy. You're very noisy. Okay, good. Right, that's another one done. What else we got next? I'd like to do another Sioux Falls if it's all possible. Although I bet I've got one that isn't called Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls Brussels we've done, haven't we? Yes, there we go. 3 on there now. Sioux Falls mainline we didn't do because I said, it's already got 4. El Paso Eastern Loop doesn't. Yeah, nope, that's not it. Detroit Wolves, obviously, doesn't take any in. Can we sort by? Yes, we can sort by. That will be good. And I want to sort by, but I want to sort by trains. Maybe if we sort that way around, yeah, we'll get trains at the top. So the main line, commuter we've done, Brussels we've done, Vancouver, Wolves, Mountain Delight, evidently not. Eastern Hemisphere mainline, nope. Although Eastern Hemisphere mainline, oh, that's running 3. Orient Express, nope, that takes in El Paso. Detroit Krakow, no, that's Detroit. Detroit Wolverhampton is obviously Detroit as well. This is riveting stuff, isn't it? Brussels, Vancouver, no. Central Europe Balloon Reverse, negative. Central Europe Balloon, also negative, which stands to reason, doesn't it? What else have we got here? Barcelona Transatlantic. There we go, there's one. Right, Barcelona Transatlantic, 2 trains with a capacity of only 64 by the looks of it. Well, that's what it's running. That's what it's running. And this is running the Atlantic with 4 clerestories. Fair enough. If that's what it's running, that's what it's running. Right, Atlantic, please, which is reasonably high up the list. Ding, ding, tink, chink, 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 chink. Read as you go. Don't scroll to. There's one. Right, have it. What did I say it was running? Clerestories, 4 of. Clerestory is a very difficult word to pronounce, and yet not that difficult. 1, 2, 3, 4. 64 on board. And you are heading out to whichever line I was just talking about, which was the transatlantic. Okay, trot on. There we go. So, I mean, as you can see, we've still got 28 million in stock, and I'm just going to keep throwing out trains on these routes that are somewhat profitable. I didn't even check to see if that one was. Only 500,000 that one's made, but, you know, that's still good. Because hopefully this will spur a little bit more growth as well. No harm in that. And we'll see that effect happening as soon as possible. And then hopefully we'll also get a bit more train passing action, because what I'd very much like to see would be Sioux Falls absolutely rammed to the rafters with incoming and outgoing traffic. Euro Loop, no, that doesn't. Wolves commuter. I thought I had 6. You know what would be the smart way to do this? Yeah, I know, you suggested it a minute ago, but I'm looking at it now. Krakow Transcontinental, there we go, there's another one. That is running the Great Western 44 3252. Okay, right, because I've got all the Great Westerns under the sun to play with, but we'll go with the correct one. Great Western 44. Yes, all right, you may blow your whistle at me. But I'm, there we go, third one of those. 973 grand, what a bargain. And then it's running 3 GWR Clerestories and then a brake coach. Fine. GWR Clerestory, which should be a little higher up. There we go. 1, 2, 3 of those, and then a brake coach on there as well. 44. Slightly lightweight, this one. Maybe I should bring him in and upgrade him. Am I really only running 44 passengers on there? What's the finances like? Well, finances are reasonably strong. Okay, right, well, Krakow Transcontinental, off you jolly well go. Comes there, look. There you are. Remember your alphabets. You learned a few things in school, I'm led to believe. Right, okay, that's that lot done. Let's do the Detroit batch next, because I'm still over 30 million. And I'm feeling fine and dandy. So let's call up. I'll tell you what. Let's call up. Oh, you can only have one depot active, unless maybe if you pull that one. There you go. Right. And then we'll set them all live at the same time, and we'll go and watch the mayhem for ourselves. Arguably, I should have moved those out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. And here we go. Right, Detroit. The Motor City is going to be chock full of trains. Right, now we've got 3 going on here. So Detroit, Krakow vehicles. These are both 1 year old. Really? I don't recall having upgraded those, but so be it. You can come out of Depot 2 here, and you're running superheated, what was it, Mogul. Okie dokie. Superheat of the Mogul Superheat. This is where a search function would come into, or you know what, the ability to sort alphabetically. That'd be nice, devs, since you're listening. That would be quite helpful, particularly once you start mucking about with mods. Is that you can get out, and especially if you don't turn on, or if you do turn on the trains don't retire kind of mods. You can end up all over the show as far as just having all sorts of stuff. Superheated, what did I say? Mogul. One of those. All right. Yes, please. I'll take one. And then what's it running for friends? It's running the heavyweight 28 to 1, which is a bulldozer power score wagon on there. Where are we? 20. You're looking at it. This one. How many? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can then wait until we send them all out dramatically at the same time. Next, Detroit Wolves. How are you doing financially? You're fine. What are you running? You're running the Atlantic with the Clerestory. Easy job. Buy trains. I think I possibly said buy trains already, but let's do it again. Steam Atlantic. Ding 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 ding. Lives in the middle. It's one of those. Have that Clerestory near the top. That's a cracker box. And that's the Clerestory. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I say 5? I did say 5 because 5 is the number. Right, that's 2. Good, thank you. And then for our final trick in this particular aspect, we shall be going for the Detroit to Wolves high altitude. Vehicles it's running. Finances? Fine, not brilliant. But it almost made $1 million on its lead train last year, so that's good too. GWR 460 4000 AG, which means that aging is enabled. Remember things. Obviously, that's not an official term at all. That's just a modding term. But, you know, I'm still quite pleased with having remembered that, although I have now forgotten exactly which one it was. I'm doing 46, isn't it? GWR 46, GWR 2846 with AG. One of those, thank you. And then coaches, we're going to be running 4 top lights with a top light break. Fair play. Right, top lights. Yes, 4 with a brake coach. Okay, thank you. Good. Now then, let's fire all of those out of their respective depots. If you can remember which is which, you are going to high altitude. You're going on the first one, so you're going Krakow. You are going to whatever's left. Detroit, Krakow. Go. Detroit, Wolverhampton. Go. And Detroit, wait for it. Detroit, other one. High altitude. There we go. Right, now let's close. Actually, let's pause because we don't want to miss this bit. I've set it up. I might as well go and exploit the thing. Let's head back over here and get our notebooks out. Where are we? Brand new railway numbers. There we go. And go. You know, we're sat back here. We're waiting for it to happen. We can let them come to us. It's going to be worth our while. But I think we may have some switching that is required. No, they're all quite happily coming out on their own line, and that's fun. And if they get held up, which they will do by the inbound Sioux Falls Brussels. Oh my goodness me. Well, I've got the new Packard. There you go. Oh, there. Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness gracious. Flipping heck, that was worth it. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, very nice is what... Look at... It's happening. Brilliant. Hey. Oh, because... I mean, there's not a lot of variety in here, I'll admit that. But it is doing the thing. And, you know, even if it is slightly rigged because they're coming out of the depot, it is still doing the thing. And that's terrific. Here comes another one as well. I'm very pleased with myself. Perhaps unjustly, but I don't care. That's wonderful. And there's another one coming in, look. This is exactly what we aspired to the entire time. And it is at least semi-legitimate. Because these do have a purpose. It has been somewhat thought through, and we've got 10 million left in the bank that I can spend on further luxury items, which for my next trick I think we'll look to whichever routes are running the fewest trains on, and stack some more in there. And then with a bit of luck, what we should end up with is this should highlight where my track layout is at its weakest, which will allow us to hopefully optimize it a little bit. Because there are definitely weak sections of track planning that I've got going on in there, and the best way to find them is to throw a hell of a lot of trains at them. Anyway, there we go. That's a dream made real. That one. That's a tree that is not long for this world. Sorry, tree. You're very scenic. You are really quite charming. Can I let you... I think I can let that one live. But, I mean, you know, there's another offender down here. I think you pass. So do you, and you, and you. Yeah, you're all fine. You're all fine. I'm coming for you. Get out. There we go. I'm okay to have, you know, 1 or 2 trees, minor encroachment onto the network. But where it just becomes implausible, I think steps have to be taken. Right, good. Now that's that. Let's go and have a look at El Paso services for stuff that we haven't yet taken into account. Now, the other side, everything there goes to Sioux Falls, so that's not worth getting involved in. But 2 lots of El Paso and the Orient Express, I think I should have the cash to deal with those. So you know what, we're going to do the same thing again. You know how I mentioned I was going to do the tracks with the fewest trains on? Yeah, I threw that idea away about 3.5 seconds after suggesting it for the first time, because I'm going to do this again. Because it was well worth it the first time. And given that these go slightly farther afield, we might end up with something interesting. Then again, we might not. It's the heavy 8-wheeler. Okay, right, you can come out on number 3. 8-wheeler heavy. That's going to be midway. Based on when I added it to the set. Heavy mogul, heavy 8-wheeler, thank you, one of those. And what are you rocking on there? The vestibule. Ooh, right, vestibule coach. Oh, I have no idea where that lives. In the list somewhere, one would imagine. Vestibule. No, I'm not aware of it. Maybe it's called something else, but ends up being a vestibule. Maybe I just missed it. That seems more plausible. I didn't miss it. Okay, what the heck is a vestibule coach? And why is it no longer on my list? Because if it's not on my list, it shouldn't be in the game. Am I that bothered? How many are you carrying? 72. So divide 72 to 4 is 18 a coach. Alright, so something with 18 capacity. You've got 20 capacity. That's bizarre. Unless I missed it. I could have missed it. The Varnish, no, it's only 12. 18 a coach is what we're looking for here. It's not going to be a Great Western. I would have never done that. That's only 11. Clerestory 16. We're getting way too old now. The Cracker Box is 12. Okay, I'm at a bit of a loss. I wouldn't have missed it this many times. Even me, I wouldn't have missed it this many times. But there it is. It's simply not present. So we'll run the heavyweight on there instead, and we'll put 4 on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which will make this a slightly different consist, but so be it. Anyway, that's the Orient Express. How very strange. Right, the Eastern Loop is running. The Baden, which is going to be mid-table. You know, this episode should be called "Hello, I'm buying a lot of trains," because that's what we're doing. It's a long series of scrolling through the train list, followed by some "it was worth it" views afterwards. And that's running 2 of the 4-axle CEs. I'm going to have to keep that open, I think. 4-axle CE 2. Yes, followed by the IABA name. Okay. And then it's having a 4-axle ABE, obviously. Yeah. And then at the back, it's got a 4-axle DE. Terrific. Good. You're ready to go. And then the counter loop, I suspect, is running the same thing. Yeah, it is. So I could duplicate the train and come out of no, I'm not, because I want to do it from the 3rd depot. Because you know that's what we're all about here in scrolling through the list of trains land. Boom, boom, there. I won't do this again. I don't. But as a one-off, I think punctuating a bit of scrolling with some quite nice views is worth the patience that you're demonstrating. 4-axle CE, 2 of those. The IABA Baracus, and then the ABE, and the one that's left. There you go. Right, all done. Let's kill these off. Brace yourself. Here we go. It's view time. If I've got this, I haven't done it. If I thought about it, 1 and 3 would have been the duplicate, and 2 would have been the other one. No matter. Right, you're going to the Orient Express for you, sir. There you go, off you trot. You're heading on the El Paso loop, either one of them. Eastern counter loop. There you are. And you are going on the El Paso Eastern loop. Did I even set? I did set that. Okay, there we go. There we go. Yep. Assume the position. There we go. Well, it doesn't look like there's anything coming in at the moment, but that's okay. Everything's moving that slowly that adventure can and will strike us at any moment, and we should be ready for it. Are we going to get a clean shot coming out of the depot? Now, I quite like this Barden, you know. It's you know, as a tank engine, it is a tank engine, isn't it? When it's got a self-contained tender. I'm not mistaken, or am I? You'll correct me. I'm giving you ample opportunities to correct me multiple times here, and frankly, I deserve it. I play that much train stuff that my knowledge should be significantly higher, and frankly, I have no good excuse not to, other than the fact that while you jabber away on the old video, you don't soak in a lot. Because your mind's split in 86 different directions at the same time. That's my excuse. I am sure as hell sticking to it. Anyway, who's going to get first dibs here? I don't even know which one's going counter and which one's going loop. They're both sat there. Is it going to be a drag race? This is another nice shot. In fact, the reverse angle's quite splendid as well. There are precious few ways to lose with this kind of adventure, you know. This is all good. Not a lot happening, if I'm honest, but it's all good. There we are. We're off and we're rolling. And there's that noisy bus again. There we go. We're rocking. Okay, so they're gonna bed in over time. I'm not gonna hang around unless there's a heck of a lot of stuff coming. But we'll pop back to Sioux Falls shortly and see what the caper is. Now then, this section up to here, we doubled up the width of the tunnel recently, which should have prevented most log jams, but it does go towards the junction of Great Peril and Adventure, where almost certainly we'll have some queuing going on. There's the counter loop that we just extended, and that's rocking a full capacity train there. You're waiting. That's the Transcontinental. We just added one of those. Now, I'm optimistic that this is going to prove to be a profitable endeavour, but you never know. What are you? You're the Transatlantic from Barcelona, barely carrying anybody at all, but I suspect that I've bunched up at least one or two services, so that's kind of to be expected. That's the Krakow Transcontinental, which could be new as well. And what the heck are you waiting for? Okay, who's into... Oh, okay, you're waiting for that to exit the block. I swear there's enough space for another block here. And I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll make this a short block there, and we'll stick another signal, right? It just means that basically for this length of track, you're not waiting. So if you end up with a train that blocks this signal, you've not lost out. If it's not blocking this signal anymore, however, you're in business. So it does lead to a slightly decreased wait time, even though it's not always going to be effective. Now, whether that's realistic or not, it really doesn't matter. But in the context of the game, it should make a positive difference. There we go. I think we've got ships passing one another in the night. Were you with the other Orient, presumably? Yes, you were. Both running full. That's what we want to see. Okay, so this bridge it's going to need an upgrade. Not today, but it's going to need one. Because at some point, I think I'm going to add a second train to service the food situation here. You've got precisely... What do you got there missing? 7 missing there, 7 missing there. So of the 400 and... pretty much 401. That can't possibly be right. Well, anyway, the 400 plus, probably 420 capacity that this train has, it's only short 14 on there. So this thing has got to be printing cash like there's no tomorrow. Yeah, there we go. 3.8 this year. And it's only just past the start of the month. That'll be a nice big payday there as well. Let's take, yeah, 3.8. That was 1.7 million it just made for that drop off. Thank you very much. I'll take it. It's too long for the station. No matter. So as we come round towards Krakow, this is where queues are likely to happen. But actually, it's not too bad. You've got a little bit of slowdown from time to time. You're queuing for the station in the way you should do, because obviously you're using the turning platform. There's the Krakow Transcon. We abbreviate because we're cool. Here's Detroit Krakow. You're not full, which is a little disappointing. But that's a... Look at the demand to get out to Shanghai. That's terrific. The balloon, the fact that there's demand for that, that's also very promising. The Euroloop Widdershins, however, which this better be, it's not. That is a little disappointing. Obviously, it's being used. There is a duplicate route going on there. So we've got queuing happening. They're both going into the same platform. No, you're passing through. Yuha, however, you're heading into the turnaround. So as this chap comes out, and that would be because that platform was occupied. Oh, okay, cool. No, it's all working exactly as intended. A spot of queuing, but I do not mind that in the slightest. And there's some more heavy train action for you to soak up and enjoy. That's quite nice. Given that by this point, because obviously you get a bottleneck when you enter the station at Krakow, and that's purely because the station isn't really big enough for the quantity of trains that make use of it. But even then, it's not catastrophically bottlenecked. Everything is still moving. And the other point I was going to make is, we're actually getting a lot of trains coming through here. You know, there's plenty of action going on, and this little 4-track section that I've got here is actually working like a dream. This is some prime time Colonel Cam, as a cheeky Barden kind of goes like, Flying Scotsman, don't give a monkeys, mate, I'm off. What you going to do? Now, I don't think they're going to be side by side for long enough for this to be a drag race, which is unfortunate. Is he being closed down by the Scotsman at all? Doesn't actually look like it. What are you doing? 56. What are you doing? 52. Still picking up speed, though. Now, obviously, this is a lighter train we've got going on here, and that's the excuse that the Scotsman's going to be relying on. Pretty certain of that. Okay, right. Well, that's running. How's life at Brussels? Brussels should run relatively smoothly, given that it's got platforms galore. And again, it's busy. Well, this is all panning out nicely. I've got enough to add another train as well. Alright, you just pulled in. We've got one going out, which is fine. You're blocking that one. That's okay. You're heading out. That's fine. You're heading in. No bother there either. Working as intended. That, however, that's a bit of a concern. Presumably you're coming around this inside track, right? You're not. You're heading round on that one. Yeah, okay. This is a bit of a messy junction as well. Maybe I should look at a napkin and see how I can improve on that. Although this is the Eastern European Counterloop and it's currently got nothing on it. Is this the new one? Yeah, it's 2 months old. Right, he hasn't picked anything up yet. He's entered the first stop. At least that's what I hope he's doing. We'll find out in due course. But there you go, Brussels, pleasantly busy. And hopefully we can make it busier still. Because the objective, the part of the reason that we're calling this the Metropolis series is the level of trainship that I'm hoping to run. Detroit, eerily silent at the current time. And then we'll head out to the other Detroit. What have we got waiting here? Actually, not too many passengers. That's good. It means we're hitting demand up reasonably well. That's passing commuters. Reasonable amount of demand. That's good. You are mainline? No, you're still heading out. So that's the Eastern Loop there, waiting to head out into the wide blue yonder. There we go. Well, that's pretty much going to cover it for today, isn't it? Because I now need to make a little bit of cash back again. Let's have a look and see what we've actually spent. Yeah, I've spent 57.5 million on new trains, which is a bit of a giggle. I've spent 9 grand on a few signals, which is also amazing. But we're only down 22, so that means we're up 35 for the year, and we're in December now, so there's going to be no more expenses before the end of the year. Let's roll it to the end of the year so that we can see what happens in 1932 as far as new trains are concerned. For some reason, that sentence challenged me far more than it had any right to do. That's a full load of planks going out there. Now, I've got a bit of a planks not quite good enough situation that I hope to rectify in the future. For now, however, this is all pretty good. Where are we? 15th of December. Yeah, some good numbers. You're coming in with mediocre numbers. It's fine. It'll pick up. The one thing we know for certain is none of these towns are going to get smaller, and every line has got at least a carriage and a half worth of passengers waiting. So you know, there's no drama, no crisis, there's no problem here. Nobody should be panicking in any way at all. This was shrewd investment across the board. It's going to pan out well, and there's a Great Western passing an Atlantic. Pretty sure it's an Atlantic. Given it's the transatlantic, I think there's a fair shot of that. I've actually got enough money and enough time to get another train out before the end of the episode. Let's do that, shall we? Let's go and pick something European. You don't get much more European than Dortmund today. What haven't I built? The balloon and the balloon reverse. They haven't had anything fun. And they've got a lot of people waiting. Balloon reverse, right. Okay, let's go send them out as well. Now, obviously, they're never going to hit Sioux Falls, so they're not going to aid the drive for traffic. I've got 7 days. I'm not pausing. Buy trains, steam. What are you running? You're running the CY, okay, which lives. CY should show up nice and quickly. Of course, this is the Russian that is pulling Austrian coaches. CY, one of those, please. And then passenger wagon-wise, you're running my usual Austrian setup. So we're rocking 2 of those. And then ABE, 2 of those. And then the IA and then the DE. Right, IA and DE, smashing. Good, done with that. 29th, clone it. I know it's a cheat. Don't care. Right, you can go out on the Euro balloon. Go. You can go out on the Euro balloon reverse. Go. They are smashing. Turned around a couple of new trains in a matter of a week and a bit. And boxcars have become available. That's fun. A new electric. I guess I should start thinking electrics then. We'll get the boxcars deployed. As much as the NAFI's coach is useful, there is still plenty of use that I can derive from boxcars. We've got plenty of stuff that only uses such things. So let's look forward to that soon enough. Meanwhile, I've been Colonel Failure. Thank you very much for watching today. Let's take a quick look at the scores on the doors for last year. 25 million, let's call it 26 million down, spent 69. That means 43 million profit if you assume I didn't spend any of the money, and obviously I spent all the money. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for subscription guarantees service and citizenship. Yeah, let's mangle some more quotes next time. Fling a like at this one if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch up with you very soon. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.